I have recently been informed of an impending inheritance consisting of properties and a substantial sum of money, a revelation I confided in my wife. However, I made it explicitly clear that this matter was to remain strictly confidential, to be shared with no one, particularly her loquacious sister. My intention was to maintain utmost discretion regarding the inheritance, opting to invest the majority of the funds, engage a property management firm, and sustain our existing lifestyle. During a recent dinner with her immediate family, her father extended his congratulations regarding the forthcoming windfall, prompting inquiries from my brother-in-law regarding the properties earmarked for my possession. It was then that my wife's sister, known for her indiscretion, expressed her desire for one of the houses, citing financial constraints and subpar credit scores. This breach of confidentiality incensed me, though I managed to temper my emotions throughout the evening. However, during our journey home, my frustration reached its zenith, leading to an outburst directed at my wife. In the ensuing argument, she justified her actions, contending that divulging our financial circumstances to her family was not only her prerogative but also her obligation. This assertion was met with staunch opposition from my end. Yet, as the dispute persisted, I issued a decree, in the heat of the moment, decreeing that henceforth, she would no longer be privy to any information concerning the inheritance. Upon reflection, however, the wisdom of this decision became increasingly apparent to me. It is evident that my wife's propensity for disclosing sensitive matters to her sister poses a considerable risk to our privacy and financial security. I harbor no illusions regarding her family's expectations, foreseeing potential encroachments upon our newfound wealth. As such, I have contemplated revising our upcoming appointments with legal and financial advisors to exclude her involvement. While I acknowledge her autonomy in discussing familial matters, the scope of her discretion remains circumscribed, with our health and financial affairs standing as the only exceptions. The advice from others cautioning against the potential exploitation of our financial windfall has prompted me to reevaluate our approach to safeguarding our assets. It has become evident that legal intervention may be necessary to fortify the autonomy of my inheritance and shield it from unwarranted familial entanglements. Furthermore, the recalibration of familial expectations will likely necessitate a reassessment of our interpersonal dynamics and the boundaries therein to ensure the preservation of our financial autonomy and familial harmony. My sister-in-law recently approached me with an urgent request for financial assistance, citing her need for emergency cosmetic procedures. Her appeals were relentless, employing emotive pleas that leveraged my newfound financial fortune. While I am not indifferent to her plight, the brazen entitlement inherent in her approach gave me pause. It is a stark reminder of the transformative power of sudden wealth, which invariably alters familial and relational dynamics. The decision of my spouse to divulge sensitive financial matters to her extended family has introduced an element of vulnerability into our familial sphere. The repercussions of her actions are manifold, jeopardizing the boundaries we have meticulously established to safeguard our financial future. Indeed, the unanticipated consequences of her indiscretion may not only strain our relationship with her family but also create unreasonable expectations that could compromise our financial stability. In a similar vein, the episode concerning my son Adrien sheds light on the complexities of interpersonal dynamics, particularly within the context of adolescence. Adrien, known for his equanimity and reticence, has found himself embroiled in a conflict precipitated by his erstwhile friend, Mike. Despite Adrien's unassuming demeanor, Mike's persistent attempts at instigating confrontation have proven futile, met with indifference and amusement by Adrien. However, the recent incident involving Anna, Adrien's twin sister, represents a concerning escalation. Mike's derogatory remarks aimed at Anna serve as a poignant reminder of the insidious nature of bullying and prejudice. While Adrienne's response was swift and assertive, the underlying implications of Mike's behavior demand a more nuanced approach. As a parent, it is incumbent upon me to navigate these delicate interpersonal dynamics with sensitivity and discernment. While Adrienne's resilience is commendable, it is imperative that we address the root cause of Mike's hostility and explore avenues for conflict resolution that prioritize empathy and understanding. In essence, both the episode involving my sister-in-law and the conflict between Adrienne and Mike underscore the inherent complexities of human relationships. As we navigate these challenges, It is essential to remain steadfast in our commitment to fostering mutual respect, empathy, and resilience within our familial and social spheres. In an unexpected turn of events, my son Adrien found himself embroiled in a heated altercation with his former friend, Mike. Adrien, known for his composure and restraint, reached his breaking point when Mike resorted to derogatory remarks about Adrien's sister. The exchange culminated in Adrienne's uncharacteristic retort, a statement tinged with frustration and indignation. The ensuing escalation prompted intervention from the school authorities, who, regrettably, failed to grasp the nuanced dynamics at play. Their insistence on Adrienne issuing an apology devoid of context or consideration for the underlying circumstances only served to exacerbate tensions. As a parent, I found myself at odds with the school's stance, advocating for a resolution that addressed the root cause of the conflict. Contrary to prevailing sentiments, I firmly believe that Adrienne's response, while not devoid of fault, was a manifestation of pent-up frustration rather than malicious intent. Moreover, the demand for an apology, unaccompanied by a reciprocal gesture from Mike, reeks of injustice and bias. It is disheartening to witness the school's reluctance to confront the underlying issue of bullying and harassment. By prioritizing expedience over equity, they risk perpetuating a culture of victim blaming and impunity. In conclusion, the complexities of this situation underscore the importance of empathy, understanding, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. As we navigate this tumultuous terrain, it is imperative that we uphold principles of fairness and accountability, lest we perpetuate cycles of injustice and resentment. During the evening of the baccalaureate party, while my wife, her sister, and their cousin attended the event, I found myself tasked with overseeing dinner for our children. Among them were my son, a preteen daughter, and a toddler, along with their cousin Tammy. Opting for the convenience of pizza, I placed an order through a mobile app, expecting a seamless delivery process. Unfortunately, what ensued was a prolonged ordeal as the delivery failed to materialize. Despite my attempts to rectify the situation, communication with the delivery service proved futile. After enduring an exasperating wait of 90 minutes, I reluctantly opted to cancel the order and seek an alternative dining option. The decision to switch restaurants was not made lightly, particularly given the fondness my daughter and Tammy held for the original pizzeria. Nonetheless, faced with escalating frustration and dwindling patience, I deemed it necessary to explore other culinary choices. Upon introducing the notion of a new dining establishment, my daughter embraced the idea with grace, recognizing the need to adapt to unforeseen circumstances. Conversely, Tammy's reaction was marked by a display of petulance characterized by tears and terse responses. Efforts to mollify Tammy's discontent were met with hostility, as she rebuffed attempts at consolation from both myself and her peers. Despite repeated reminders of the need for decorum and cooperation, Tammy persisted in her disruptive behavior. When the awaited pizza finally arrived, Tammy's refusal to partake in the meal she had clamored for culminated in a disciplinary decision. In response to her dismissive attitude and disrespectful remark, I exercised parental authority by providing an alternative dinner option. While Tammy's emotional reaction may have been genuine, the consequence of her actions was commensurate with the severity of her behavior. As accusations of favoritism and cruelty ensue, it is imperative to underscore the importance of accountability and discipline within the family dynamic. In light of the circumstances, my decision remains unwavering, guided by a commitment to fairness and the cultivation of responsible behavior among our children. It appears that sister-in-law will need to seek alternate child care arrangements in the future for her indulged progeny, who appears unaccustomed to facing repercussions for their actions. Indeed, she has reared a creature of her own making and must now endure the ramifications thereof. As for myself, 3 months postpartum, I find that my daily routine remains largely unaffected by the recent birth. Our daughter, blessed with a serene disposition, facilitated a smooth convalescence for me. While occasional fatigue persists, and bouts of postpartum frustration arise sporadically, particularly during fluctuations in breast milk production, I acknowledge the possibility that my response may be unduly severe. 2 days prior, I dedicated considerable time and effort to preparing a substantial batch of corn chowder, a culinary craving that had persisted since the early weeks postpartum. Despite my husband's offer to assist, I opted to undertake the task independently, driven by a desire for culinary precision. The resultant quantity exceeded expectations, filling the stockpot to capacity. Its consumption over subsequent meals left me unfazed by monotony, a testament to its delectable allure. However, upon returning from an errand to procure dinner ingredients, I encountered an unexpected scenario. My in-laws, having arrived earlier than anticipated, had partaken in the corn chowder, presumably under the impression that it was available for general consumption. This presumption, while understandable, nonetheless prompted a dismayed reaction upon discovering the emptied container in the sink. Seeking clarification, I summoned my husband to address the matter. His response to my inquiry regarding the conspicuous absence of the corn chowder was awaited with bated breath. My sister's marriage, initiated 4 years ago with a widower blessed with 3 children spanning the pre-tween to older tween age spectrum, has gradually morphed into a distressing saga. Initially, my fondness for her husband was palpable, as they exuded the semblance of a harmonious union. However, my sister confided in me a couple of years subsequent to their nuptials, revealing a disconcerting undercurrent beneath the facade of domestic bliss. The crux of her marital woes lay in the children's acerbic remarks directed at her, compounded by the relentless ostracism inflicted by her husband's family and the relatives of his deceased spouse. Rather than being embraced as an integral part of the familial unit, my sister found herself relegated to the periphery, reminiscent of a mistress rather than a legitimate wife. Despite my earnest entreaties for her to address these grievances through open dialogue with her husband and the therapeutic intervention, she remained reticent, apprehensive of the tumult such disclosures might precipitate. In a bid to offer solace and companionship amidst her matrimonial tribulations, our interactions burgeoned, affording me ample opportunity to bear witness to the unfolding domestic discord. Over time, the underlying issues assumed a disquieting prominence, surpassing even my initial apprehensions. The children, in their youthful naivety, subjected my sister to a barrage of disparaging epithets, deriding her competence and, in a particularly callous twist, mocking her stutter, a poignant vulnerability she bears with stoic resilience. It is evident that her husband's family, disdainful of her presence, cast her in the unenviable role of an interloper, an unwelcome addition to their familial dynamics. Their treatment of her, akin to that of a mere mistress, was marked by a palpable lack of respect or empathy, indicative of a deeply entrenched bitterness stemming from their daughter's absence. Rather than extending a semblance of familial solidarity, they resorted to disparaging comparisons, pitting her against the memory of their late daughter, a practice tacitly condoned by her husband's passive acquiescence. Her husband, though ostensibly present, remained complicit in his family's denigration, his laughter a tacit endorsement of their disparaging remarks. While refraining from overt comparisons to his late wife, his thinly veiled criticisms and dismissive comments spoke volumes, fostering an atmosphere of neglect and emotional neglect. In a commendable display of resilience, my sister sought solace in therapy, embarking on a journey towards self-empowerment and liberation from the confines of a suffocating marriage. Buoyed by the support of her therapist and armed with an exit strategy, she now stands poised on the cusp of emancipation, her resolve unwavering despite lingering trepidation. Empowered by her decision to reclaim agency over her life, my sister granted me carte blanche to confront her husband's transgressions. Thus, when he brazenly attempted to intrude upon our familial gathering, I resolutely upheld her wishes, refusing entry to a man who had repeatedly demonstrated contempt for her well-being. Despite my mother's admonishments, I remained steadfast in my resolve, cognizant of my duty to safeguard my sister's dignity and emotional well-being. In the face of familial discord, I remained resolute, guided by the conviction that in matters of the heart and hearth, one's allegiance must invariably align with the cause of justice and compassion.